Welcome to Locked In, your source for college football intel. We want to give a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed to our channel this month. We've had a blast talking football with you. If you enjoy this video and want to see more great content, please like it and subscribe to the channel. Even more, share our videos with your friends. Again, thanks for being locked in. So, one of our goals at Locked In is creating a community that comes together to help each other learn more about college football. In recent comments on a film of Michigan, and one name that kept coming up is that of Michigan's sophomore defensive tackle Kenneth Grant, number 78, and he is quite the player. And we've, I think, glanced over him a little bit as we've gone through, I guess, more game-specific videos. But tonight we want to come together and show a couple of plays that really that are going to give you a glimpse into what makes him such a great player. And I think is he's probably a shoe-in, for the for some awards next year. And I would say probably next year, probably his last year at Michigan, because this guy looks like he is pretty well draft ready. And so one more year, and I think he's going to be probably a first round pick. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think this guy looks to be the next Jordan Davis. This dude comes out 6'4", 340. Out of high school, he ran a 5 flat 40 laser timed in a camp. And Jordan Davis ran a 4.78 at the combine. So I'm sure you could look to see that improve for him by the time he gets to the combine. So I think Kenneth Grant is one of those freaks of nature. You're going to see he's big, he's fast, he's physical, and he's strong. So, I mean, you're going to see him at the combine put out when he goes to the draft eventually. And you see him put out on the field. He produces, he's big, he's fast, he's physical on the field, strong. You can see it in his film, and I'm sure we'll be able to see it. And that's why I think scouts are going to be pretty excited as well as the fans that are excited to have him there. Because I think this dude is a guy and one that can make a really big impact for a team like Michigan.
So, Red, building off of what Chance said, he mentions, a couple times physical attributes. I mean, obviously Grant has the size, he has the strength and the speed. But what do you think about just the way that he plays his game? Like, what are we going to see that goes beyond the physical attributes of a defensive tackle in this particular play here?
Yeah, so we'll play the film in just a second, but what you'll see when you're watching this is really good awareness from him, and also good football knowledge, good technique. And that also is not just with his hands, with his feet, talking with his speed and his size. It's also his head and his eyes. So he's seeing things really well. He's understanding where to be looking in the play. Obviously he's got a lot of big. He's got a size advantage and he's got a strength advantage. So that plays into him being able to lock in and then get his eyes where they need to be. He's not having to worry about getting pushed around too much because he's a big fella. But at the same time, too, he has a really good grasp of his angles and how to make a play or how to get somewhere to be able to make a play in the future, possibly when he's kind of out of it angle wise. So we'll go ahead and get into the film here where you can see this is a really good example of multiple things that he does really well. We'll let it run through one time and then we'll break it down. All right. Going back. So right now in this set, Michigan has two defensive tackles, and then your edge guys. They're listed as linebackers, so they're edge players. And as we were looking at this film and kind of breaking it down, we discussed that this is a great play by Penn State. Like they have good blocking here. This play should have been a touchdown, but because they're playing Michigan that has a good sound defense, and we'll talk about someone else who comes in and helps make this play possible. But keying in right now, his eyes are into the backfield when contact is made. Right here, he's getting his eyes in. He's watching what's happening. His eyes are immediately on the running back. So contact is made. He's scraping down the line. I mean, obviously he's getting blocked a little bit, but then he's disengaging. He's coming down trying to fill a hole. Penn State's tackle here does a good job getting his block, and he keeps going downfield. And I think right here is about where you see it. He realizes that he's not going to be able to get straight down and make this play. He's got an offensive lineman in front of him, and he's got his own linebacker in front of him. So he turns his hips and he runs downfield and he changes his angle completely, hoping that the safety is able to slow him down enough, or someone on the outside is able to slow him down enough, and he is just pursuing. This is just full effort and pursuit by a great player. I mean, that's all you can say. Kenneth Grant does an unbelievable job of changing his angle, and then just he wants to make this tackle. We talked about just a sheer will play, because he's out of this. Running back should be faster than him, and I'm sure that if you line them up and you ran a 40, this running back is faster than Kenneth Grant. I'm not trying to say that he runs faster than this guy, but because of good team defense, because another person slows him down, and because of his effort to just run down this field and want to make this tackle, he does.
Yeah, and he also takes
to,
a very good pursuit angle. If you watch there, he'll get off this block right here, and you can see him turn his hips. So when you're a DB, you're taught flip your hips and run with the guy when you're in man coverage, and he's gonna go vertical on you. So he sees the running back all the way through that play, and he flips his hips and he starts hauling, because I mean he has eyes on right here, he has eyes on the whole time, and then right here he sees the outside, he pushes his own defender and flips his hips and gets upfield. So I mean he takes a very good angle, and I know we've talked about it a lot in other videos about Michigan, the way they run their pursuit drill, because everybody on Michigan's team knows how to pursue to the ball. So everybody on their team, it's not just him. So I mean their defense is just something that needs to be studied for the future, because it is a work of art.
Yeah, and that's the thing that and I think if people who have kept up with these videos, I think that you probably heard me say it a couple of times. I mean, this is, in my opinion, this is the modern defense. I mean, if you're not running it, there's something wrong with you. If you're not watching it, there's something wrong with you. I mean, I'm to the point that, I'm, 9 hours away, and I'm almost convinced to just go to the coaching clinic this year just to see what you can pick up on drills that they do, because this is unbelievable. Everywhere that you look, I mean, they're around the ball. I mean, and right here, just pause this for just a second. Look at the face masks that are already turned. I see, the edge on the left side of Michigan's defense, the left inside linebacker, the right inside linebacker. You see two defensive tackles with their heads in the right spot. Every single helmet that's around the ball, except for the two defensive backs contending with the receivers, everybody's eyes are in the right place, and that's something that's not natural. And I mean, I think that if you've coached football at any level for a minute, you might have one or two people who have naturally good eyes and can find the football and then create it and get in the right pursuit angle to get there. But to have right here 9 men who come up and execute their jobs and condense this running lane down to as small as they possibly can. Now, he makes a good run. I mean, you got to say that this guy makes a great run. Penn State makes a great play, but Michigan, the thing that I love about them, in addition to like just the discipline they show, the athleticism they show, and executing jobs in the way they do, they never seem to be beat. It's like you might win a play, but you will not beat them. And obviously, they're an undefeated national champion, but I love how they play together. I love how they communicate. And like right here, if you look at what that Grant and really the linebackers, I mean, everybody, honestly, they close the whole right side of the run box down. And one thing that's interesting, and it doesn't look like this running back is going to try it, but the thing that I think is interesting is that as it unfolds, there is no cutback lane to the right side. He is funneled into the lane. Now, Penn State's tackle does a great job of, or not, I don't think he's a tackle. He's the lead blocker going through here, maybe the guard and center pull, I believe. But he does a fine job of keeping that lane clean for the running back. But then if you look at him closing down on him, they just keep tightening space, and he runs through as best he can. Like, watch here. Like Rev said, this is a good play with this lead blocker. I think he's a guard for Penn State.
Yeah.
Look at that, man. I mean, that's as good as it gets. But God, man, look at it. The entire Michigan defense, they've gone from the hash all the way back over, and space is closing in. He puts his head down and he runs, and he's got the big boy in front of him making the block. And what I think is amazing right here is, like Chance said, now this is something, if you are a defensive tackle, first things first, the thing that you can't coach, and I don't care where it's at, if it's at a high school, if it's a Pee Wee league, if it's here at Michigan, what you cannot coach, you can encourage it, but you cannot coach the heart that Kenneth Grant shows right here. And like Chance says, this most people would say is ludicrous, because take that back just one frame. I want you to watch his left arm, and now I may be just delusional, but I swear unto everything, he dips and rips with his left arm. Look how he runs out of this right here. It's like he rips to turn his body further north and south. And the thing about defensive football, and the thing about pursuit that you have to convince people to see, is you do not know what's going to happen downfield.
Right.
And so not just him. I mean, this is unbelievable, because he's a 340-pound defensive tackle. But the other guys, like 25-year Junior Colson, he gets caught in the traffic a bit, and he has to take a little bit of a bad angle that puts him out of the play. But look what happens whenever he gets put out of the play. He's right back on it. And Grant is right on it too. Now, here's something else I think is really interesting, and for me, I'm amazed at how Michigan does this at different times. And I've heard people say, "Oh, well, the refs are all for them. They're the least penalized team in the country." You know why they're the least penalized team in the country? Because they're the dadgum smartest and most well-coached team in the country.
They're taught well.
Right here, you tell me this. I mean, we've all been in situations like this. If you play this thing out to its end, how easy would it have been for Grant, who is absolutely hoofing it down the field, to have reached out with one hand and horse collared the crap out of this running back? How easy would that have been right there?
Yep.
But what does he do instead?
Hands on shoulder pads.
Who hands him on the shoulder pads and pulls him down? That's training.
Yep.
That is self-awareness. That is not giving him an extra 15 yards and putting Penn State into field goal range. That's how you play defense. Whenever you've been beat by a run, that's a great play, but you make an even better play to make it less worse than what it could have been. I mean, I don't see how you can't help but be excited.
Yeah.
So, what do y'all say something about somebody else here that it can be easily overlooked in this?
Well, I was gonna
Somebody
say shout
say
out
something about
to
this cornerback.
yeah, so shout out to Will Johnson. He comes up on this immediately when he sees run, and his job is not to set the edge because the linebacker already did that. So he forced the hole, he forced the gap for the running back to go into, and that's Makari Page, who is playing linebacker on this play, but he's listed as a DB. So he sets the edge. You can see him right here. He takes on, I believe, it's the center that pulled, so he has to take on the lead blocker. Running back is forced a little bit more inside, and then on the complete outside edge, you have Will Johnson, who, everybody knows him at this point. He is an absolute stud playing corner. He's great in coverage, but he's also good in run support. Now, he's not making the tackle here, although he might have been able to when we see at the end of the film. But what he is doing is he is stopping the outside lane being available to the running back. Just by taking on the blocker and holding his spot and not getting pushed out, he forces the linebacker to take a little bit more narrow of a gap, and that is what creates an easier time for the safety, Rod Moore, to come up and try and make a little bit of a play. Now, he misses him, but he slows him down. So we talk about team defense. It's not always about team tackling. It's about people doing their jobs. The job for Makari Page, when you go back here, is to set the edge and take on that lead block. He does off the edge. Then you got linebackers who are coming up and fill in the spots that they need to. I know we talked about Junior Colson. He does have to take a kind of a bad angle because he's got a mass of people in front of him, but he's still trying to get down to the ball. He's trying to close down space. Shout out to Josiah Stewart, the edge player at the top of the screen, number 5. He is scraping down the whole way through. So if there was any chance of a cutback or anything going that backside, he's already there. I'll go ahead and play it to the end. Watch him here. He gets to his spot and he just scrapes down. He doesn't overrun anything. He doesn't run out of the play. He doesn't go downfield. He scrapes all the way down. So they're making sure that he's making sure that nothing goes backside. Number 8, excuse me, I forgot his name, but number 8, he comes down and now he's playing. You can see him here. He's playing the edge, and he goes straight into that B gap. I mean, he at least accounts for one blocker, and he's also trying to have the running back kind of bubble this further out. We already talked about the edge being set. You got Will Johnson, number 2, over here on the outside, taking the outside away. And then you have Rod Moore at least make an attempt and slow this guy down. And sometimes, when you're a DB out in open space, sometimes you can't make the play. But if you can slow your guy down, that gives the rest of your defense, if they're pursuing correctly, enough time to come and make the plays. We talk about you never know what's going to go down, happen on the end of the field. If you stay in pursuit, you might have a shot to make a play. So not only do we see Kenneth Grant do that very thing here, and Locke already talked about Junior Colson is in pursuit. You got Will Johnson, who probably would make this play if Kenneth Grant doesn't beat him to it. So you got 3 guys who are in hot pursuit of this. Everybody else did their job, fairly well here. And again, we want to credit Penn State. This is a good play. They blocked it well. They ran it well. And even with that, it is a win because it's a long run, but Michigan does their jobs well enough to stop it, because this play is probably a touchdown versus basically any other team. But because this is Michigan and because they are doing their job effectively, they get to stop it. And it's great. I mean, it's just great defense, and it's just fantastic pursuit and effort by all involved.
And one thing too that I want to say before we move on to the next play, if you look at that number 8 you mentioned is Derek Moore. If you look at what he does here, look how quickly he gets off the block. Look how quickly Kenneth Grant gets off the block. Look how quickly Will Johnson gets off his block. These guys don't fool around. I mean, this is just great technique and absolute want to. That's all you can say. That's what propels a 340-pound man down the field like that. And this is not just a game thing. And I think that's what really makes me excited about this team. This is not just something, oh, well, he just made a great play. That's just what he does. He's trained to do this. And the defensive line coach at Michigan has clearly got these guys to buy in to making plays like this downfield. I mean, I'm sure if you look, there's probably an interview someplace talking about it. I guarantee you he wanted to make that play because they had talked about making plays like that all year, and he got his chance. And the thing that happens is when you have superstars who are doing what they're supposed to do, they fix to make plays like that, and you will see that over and over and over again leading up to the draft, probably in a couple of Aprils. I have no doubt about it.
Yeah, and what's even more impressive than his speed is probably his power. I'd say is more impressive, and his strength, because look at him right here. I know we've already went over this, but my word, the bull rush on this guy. I mean, he just straight up walks 71 back into the Penix right there, flat backs him, and then takes Penix and throws him down like he's a rag doll. So this guy is something special. And look at the technique he uses if you want to talk about that, Locke.
Yeah, so the thing from right here that I think is amazing about this one is a lot of times it's hard to see from a top view what's going on, especially with the techniques of defensive linemen. You can literally watch Grant move from one side of the Washington left guard to the other to get into the A gap. Now, here's the thing I think's great. Like you see from that one, the side to side movement. He moves laterally very, very well. And I mean, that's not saying for a big man, that's just saying he moves laterally very well. But watch this. He always leads with his hands. I mean, if you're a young defensive lineman and you're not playing with your hands, if your coaches are not teaching you to play with your hands, your coaches do not know what they're doing. Get your hands on that guy and then get his hands off of you. Windshield wiper, rip, whatever you got to do. And make him fight you, and do not stop going forward. Because something that Chance pointed out that is really brilliant about this play is a mistake that the Washington offensive lineman makes in trying to stop a guy this good who is going forward this hard. So Chance, tell what 71 does wrong here, because he does do a good job to recover and get in front of him when Grant goes to the A gap, but he does something that is really, really wrong.
Yeah, so what happens is when he's backing up for his pass set, they're taught nowadays to basically jump backwards and plant your feet behind you so you can post up on them defensive tackles nowadays. And that just doesn't work out for him right here. He tries to jump right here, and he jumps back and his legs are under him, and he ends up stepping on number 72 right here with his legs under him, and his legs are under him. He's in a chair, his foot's off balance, and he falls over, and Grant just bull rushes him right here. I don't really think it's because he stepped on 72's foot. I think it's because when he jumped back, Grant had his body, like his upper body, pushed back over his legs, so it put him in a chair, and he just tumbled him. And what's even better about Kenneth Grant right here is he's not attacking 71's whole body. He's attacking half of his body. He's just attacking his shoulder. That's where both of his hands go if you look at it. And that's one thing you're taught as a D lineman is to attack less. So like an elbow and a shoulder, attack one side, get them off balance so they'll go over easy and you can get past them easier. And that's what happens right here. Perfect technique from Grant. He attacks the shoulder, attacks the arm, and you can see him fold him up into a chair and put him on his butt.
I think too, something to point out here it's subtle, but it's really important, is that there is I think that most people, when they see this, let me begin by saying this. Most people, when they see this, are going to be exactly the same way that I was when I saw it unfold live in the game. And you think this is just a straight up bull rush. This is not a bull rush. A bull rush, he would just run straight through that A gap. But watch what he does. Whenever he gets that good hard stab on him and he feels 71 go backwards, watch what happens. He shifts from the left side of this guy over to the right side of him. There you go, right there. And he's whipped. 71 is whipped. 72, I think, even was coming up to help him. If you look at him, take it back just a little bit further. I think that 72, a little bit more. I guess just go, yeah, right there, right there. 72, I think, was waiting in the wings on the right side of 71 to help protect that A gap. But what happened is whenever he gets this win, now I don't know if it's designed this way or if he's just, kind of, just following what happens, Grant, that is, but he stabs him in to that A gap and comes across him. And when he goes to the other side, he's whipped like a dog right here. I mean, there's nothing he can do. And 72 is okay. He's got him. I'm going to help out with this guy coming inside. And nothing can be further from the truth. And now, for all I know, this is just a straight up, just 4-man rush. Nothing special. But these guys seem to be highly adaptive and they're making moves and they're making that Washington offensive line, who's a good offensive line, they're making them do an impossible job because how do you contain those two guys? And it seems like it would be an easy thing to do, but look at those two defensive tackles. They both have whipped, two men have whipped three blockers. That's all that comes down to. And what Grant does right here, I mean, to me, that's just a level beyond what 71 is ready to take on.
Yeah, it shows great strength. We talked about that and power, but also relentlessness. His feet don't stop. I mean, he is relentless back to the quarterback. He is a constant attack mode on 71. And Chance's observation here with that little jump step, and I know it is hard to see, but both of his feet leave the ground at the same time, and he gets them back because he's trying to establish a better angle for him to attack the D lineman who's attacking him. He's trying to get his feet back under him, and instead, because of Kenneth Grant's pursuit of this and his, ever going attack, his forward lean we talked about, he stays attacking forward. He doesn't get on his back foot. He doesn't lean back any. It's constant forward motion here. Because he's in attack mode and he's engaging 71 the whole way through, the moment his feet leave the ground, now all of a sudden, because of that movement, you've pushed 71's weight behind his feet. Like talk about sitting in a chair. Right here, he's sitting in a chair. There's nothing he's going to be able to do because he's a big guy and all his weight is falling backwards because Kenneth Grant is pushing him backwards. And that's so, yes, great strength and power, but it's also just a relentless attack and pursuit of what his job is here. His job is to go after the quarterback. And, he uses a great little move. He does a great technique with his hands, attacks the right shoulder or I guess, yeah, the right shoulder and arm. Then he switches and attacks to the left. So he gets him kind of, a little bit wonky on which side he's going to be defending. He protects himself from 72 blocking him by going to the other side. And even if, I don't know necessarily if that kind of crisscross is designed or not, or like Locke says, just something that he did. But either way, whether coached or just natural, it's impressive. And then his attack is impressive. So this guy has everything you want. He has good speed, great speed for how big he is. He has good eyes. He has good instincts. He takes good angles, and he is relentless. Whether it's him, a run play that beats the Michigan defense and just running down the field hoping to be able to make a play, or it's a quarterback where you're trying to feast on him. You see him in the backfield and you're going after him. He is relentless in all that he does, run or pass, and that's just a sign of a great player. We talk about him in the draft. He has so many intangible things, and then he has just uh, great technique and great size, which is obviously going to boost him. We talked about Jordan Davis at out front. Chance said this guy could be the next Jordan Davis, and you can see it here with how he plays. So this guy's just really impressive. We wanted to spotlight him, and I know we only have 2 plays here, but I think these 2 plays kind of encapsulate everything that you see when you see him on every single play. You see that relentlessness, you see that strength, you see that speed, and he is deserving of a shout out in a video all to himself.
One of the things that I want to say, and I know this is kind of taking some, I guess, of the spotlight away from Grant, but if you roll back and just think what did the quarterback, look at this thing as this unfolds. So he knows what he wants to do with the ball. Now, here's what we're not anticipating. Well, we are anticipating because 72 is basically playing running back because he knows what's about to happen, and he still can't stop it. As Grant's coming through, making his move, see, my thing is this defense, with every defense, is good. One hand washes the other. The front helps the defensive backfield helps the front.
Right.
If you are the quarterback, it looks like Army ants have taken over back there. All you see are navy blue uniforms. And then you're trying to find a guy to throw the ball to.
Look at the backfield.
And you see 78 right in your face. I don't know how you do it. And obviously here you just get slung down. And that's terrifying. And to me, that's what I like. I like this. I like those Ndamukong Suh type defensive linemen that are just going to make you scared. And you can see right here, Penix does not want to take contact from this guy. He would rather be slung down than slammed down. And whatever's going to happen right here, he arrives in a very, very bad mood. And that's beautiful. That's all you can say. What a player.
Yeah, with all that being said, I look forward to seeing Kenneth Grant on an NFL roster starting in the near future. So for all of us here at Locked In, take it easy.
Everyone here at Locked In wants to say thank you to all of you who have subscribed to, liked, and commented on our channel. We've got a blast bringing great college football analysis to you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. If you want to share your thoughts, we'd love to see your comments. Till next time, stay locked in.